Welcome to Insight Builder channel and another video on Langchain library. This particular video we are going to discuss about Langchain tracing, a comprehensive guide to the tracing server inside Langchain, evaluating your agents and chains. Why evaluate and what are we going to evaluate? Agents and chains are the building blocks of the large language model applications that we are working currently with Langchain. And inherently in agents and the chains, you see a lot of calls that is going to the large language models, and the inner working of these agents and chains are bit difficult to understand. So you might be wondering if there is any easier way to evaluate it. And Langchain devs, also the overall large language model and the ecosystem around this large language model has a concept of evaluation and providing metrics for various models. In case of generative AI, creating metrics is actually tough because you are going to generate text out of text freely, right? You don't have any way to control it, but still there are ways to do some kind of an evaluation. So that is where the concept of the tracing server, the concept of evaluating the agents and chains comes into picture. The reason, so I have told you that how to evaluate, but why to evaluate? Why to evaluate is that we need to have a way to check the building blocks. Agents and chains are going to be the building blocks of our application. You must have been already tweaking with it, right? And you want to also understand how these building blocks work with various tools. Like for an example, the search API, it could be the math tool, it could be the SQL tool. You want to understand how the agents are interacting with these tools and how the output is coming out. And you might want to do some modification. And how will you know that the modification that you did not break something else? So there should be a set of tests or set of predictions that you want to evaluate on a regular basis whenever you are going to modify the code. So testing framework, we have come across lots of testing framework for regular Python code, but there we use a lot of assertions. So we take a particular function, we know what is going to be its specification and we know what is going to be its output. But in case of large language models, we don't know what is going to be its output. This is where the challenge starts. And another major challenge is that forget about code. We can actually swap out the complete large language models itself. So today you are using OpenAI, tomorrow you might be using Hugging Face Flan U2, and day after tomorrow you might use Cohere. So the larger language models are inherently swappable. When that is the case, how are you going to check your agents and how they are working with various language models? That is also an activity that you need to streamline. And then comes, how to get the data for all this testing. So what is the solution offered by Langchain? So this is something that I had a question when I was reviewing the options available in Langchain and the ecosystem as a whole. And I found that Langchain documentation is quite exhaustive in that sense. They offer three options. So they have something called as evaluation chains. I will not be discussing this in detail in this particular video. They have something called as Langchain datasets, which also will not be discussed in this video. But the tracing server, this is an interesting concept that I got really interested and I wanted to make a video about. And the tracing server, what happens is there are two different options that Langchain provides for the tracing server. So one is cloud hosted via Vercel app that is hosted by Langchain guys itself. However, it is still a closed beta, a closed alpha actually. So the app is still in alpha, so they have not opened it for everybody. However, they give you an option to pull the Docker environment of this application, this tracing server, right into your local environment. And that too with a single simple command. All you need to do is run this command Langchain server on your command prompt. And you should have the Langchain library installed in your system. That is all they ask you to do. The point here is what happens, you should have Docker environment because it's going to pull Docker server, Docker instances, and your Postgres server, if you are running a Postgres server locally, ensure that you stop that service because this Docker that gets pulled has three parts. There is a database, there is a front end, and there is a back end. The database that Langchain server uses is a Postgres database, which is connecting to 5432 port. So if your environment already has a Postgres server running, the 5432 port will be occupied, and this Langchain server will not start. So ensure that you stop the Postgres server. And after that, all you need to do is work with agents and chains with the script, with the Python script. So when you're going to use the Python script, you need to add couple of environment variables in that will be showing to you in the next slide. What I'm going to discuss further is there are three different evaluation chains available, or evaluation classes available in Langchain. So these evaluation classes work along with this Langchain datasets. I'll be discussing about this separately in a different video in the near future, but I just want to introduce to you guys what is available. I will also be showing to you the documentation where to find it out. It is smack right there. So I myself did not realize that, okay, there is a huge concept of evaluation, and then I immediately spend time on that today. So that is something that I wanted you guys to also become aware of. That is the reason why I'm making this video. To start the tracing server, all you need to do is, as I told, use the command Langchain server. It will pull down the Docker when you are doing it for the first time. When you initiate it, it will pull down the Docker. It will be a 3 Docker instance command. It will pull all the 3 down. It will take around some 700 MB altogether, and it will wait for so after that it will start automatically. If your Postgres server is not there, then it will start automatically. Once that is done, you will see this kind of a output in your terminal. So then after that, you can go to the local host and start working on it. The point here is that the terminal start script will have the agents and chain running. So you have to use a different terminal. So this terminal will be occupied. So you cannot use this terminal for running any of the Python script. So open a different terminal and start working on that, on the script which runs agents and chains. So I'll be sharing you the option, and this is how the actual output will look. So once the chains get executed, right? So you will see the output of the entire steps taken by the agents and the chains inside that, or the tools inside that. And you can also explore the individual line item. So this front end is written in Svelte, one of the Svelte and SvelteKit. It is one of the best JavaScript library available out there. They have done a wonderful job with that. I really am, I really like the design that they have done. We will be also seeing how to operate it in a couple of minutes. I will be sharing that once this presentation is done. And this is the most simplest script that you can run. So I'm not going to give any collab notebook here because you don't need it. So all you need to do is take this script, type it out in a text editor, and execute it. Okay. The point here I am trying to make is that you need to give your OpenAI API key, and you need to ensure that this import OS and os.environ Langchain handler, this has to be at the top of the script. This is specifically mentioned by Langchain devs that it should be at the top of the script, and so ensure that it is at the top. You don't need to do anything else. Once your server is up and running, that is, once this server is up and running, and if you run this script by adding these 2 lines, then it will automatically connect with the tracing server. So that is how it is working. So I hope that you like this content, and do subscribe to my channel for further updates on Langchain, big data, and also the overall ecosystem of Python libraries coming directly to your YouTube dashboard. With that said, let us go to the browser. What are we going to do with the browser is very simple. I am going to show you a couple of pages where you can work with the evaluation chains. So in the document itself, if you click on the first, after the extraction, there is an evaluation page, subheading. There they talk about all the problems that I spoke about in this particular video quite some time back, and they give you all the necessary necessary links to start working on that. Among that, they speak about tracing here. So you can click on tracing, that is already opened. So they also walk you through how to work with the locally hosted setup and the cloud hosted setup. So locally hosted setup is what we are working on. You can click on locally hosted setup and it will show you how to do that. That I've already explained to you guys. And this is one of the agent benchmarking that they have done. So using search and calculator. Actually, what I've done, as I do in all my videos, I break this particular example. So I don't use search plus calculator, or I don't load the data set. See, at the end of the day, I want to test the tracing server, right? That is my goal. And for testing it, I don't need to have two tools. I can have single tool also. So I remove the SERP API, okay? And I'm only having LLM Math, and I'm initializing the agent. So that is what I'm doing. That's a basic thing that I'm doing. And I'm not using the load data set. So that is an additional complication that I don't want to include here. So all I need to do is, after I initialize the agent, I'm going to run the agent, and I am asking a very simple question to the agent. Let us go to the PDF, and you'll see that the simple question, the most simplest question that you can ask the large language model is, what is 5 plus 58? And the answer is going to be 63. But it is going to go through the agent executor chain for this. So we will see what happens. So I have already executed this code. So let me show you the terminal also. Just give me a moment. So I hope that you guys can see this font clearly. I have just executed the simplest. It's just a 15-line code, and I'm asking the agent to run and output the value of what is 55 plus 58. And you see the run has occurred at this particular terminal. So I am executed python agent _trace.py, and you see that it is entering into the agent executor chain, and I'm getting the value as 5 plus 58 equal to 63. This is what is running in the terminal. Now in the Windows, okay, let me go back to the terminal again. I need to show you the server running, right? So if you go to the server, so the server is running here again. The server is already running here, and if I go up, you can see the server getting started. So the same thing that I showed you in the picture, that is what you are seeing here also. And this white preview, that is how I know that it's a SwellKit app. And before I start, you see that it actually pulls the Langchain front end, back end, and DB. It gets pulled. For the first time when you do, it will get pulled automatically. After that, once the instances are in your Docker instance or in your laptop or in your server, it will not again pull it. So it will work locally only. So don't get afraid that when you are going to do it the second time that it starts again pulling, but actually it doesn't. So it only uses the local Docker instance only. So yeah, that is the actual setup that I have done. Now let us go back to the browser. In the browser, I am going to the localhost 4173, and in the localhost 4173, for you, you will actually get a session like this. It will not have any kind of session names. So what I would suggest is that before you start, understand these flow properly. So let me again go to the terminal. You start this server, the server gets started, go to the browser, open this particular session, and ensure that you have a default session here. Okay, by default there will be a default session. If it is not there, then create a session with the name default. Okay, to my knowledge, there will be a default session by already. So I am just giving a heads up, because why I'm giving you this heads up is that, let us go back to the terminal. The code that we are going to give is actually telling that by default, it is telling that, okay, write my agents and chain calls to a default session inside the tracing server. We are not giving any kind of the session names here. So let us go to the browser. I will show you the place where they explain. So if you go to the locally hosted setup, they explain to you how to change the things. So if you come to the, just a minute, they have this environmental setup. Just give me a moment. So if you take a look at the tracing.html, latest tracing.html tracing walkthrough, you will, if you scroll down, they will explain how to work with various the UI. UI is pretty intuitive, so you don't need to worry about it. I will be showing it in a couple of minutes. What I'm trying to show is that you can actually change the session. So you can change the session name at the top of the script, but don't try this right now. I tried it. I had some challenges in getting it executed appropriately, but without actually changing the session, if you just only give this 2 lines, so the session, the agent execution will be written to the default session. So once you are in the default session, you will see initially it will not have any kind of chain runs. But once you execute, so going back to the terminal, once you execute this code, so let me execute it again. Okay, so you'll see the second trace, that is, okay, it will not execute because I don't have the OpenAI API key here. Probably it will error out. But if you execute it the second time, you will see that the chain will get added here. There will be additional chain. And once you click here, you will see that each of the calls it makes to the LLM OpenAI, you will see the call it makes to the LLM Math chain. You will see, let me zoom in a bit. So you will see the calls made by it, and you can also explore each of these calls. So if you click on the explore button, it will show you that, okay, what is the input that is coming in, what is written in the agent scratchpad, what is written in observation, and what is output. Each of this step you can take a look, and you can start opening. You can literally go into the thought process, what is going on inside, and you can copy the data out. This is the benefit that you get from tracing. And when you are trying to debug something, so if the agent or your chain is working really weird, you are connecting with some kind of other tools, and the tools are creating a lot of challenges to you, and you want to understand how to modify this prompt. All these things you can try to debug by using this particular interface. That is a major point I wanted to highlight to you guys in this video. So what happens in case of so for an example, agent benchmarking, this is the actual example that I had taken. So I've shown you already. So I hope that now you understand how to use tracing and how to work with the UI that has been provided to you guys. If you guys face any problem, do comment it out. Let us see how to resolve it. It's pretty simple, but initially when you try to follow the example that is provided by the Langchain guys, you might get little taken back, because what I found surprising is that you won't find this kind of Langchain with the email and all. So it will be plain here. You will not get any email, etc. And you will not get any API keys also. So all you need to do is just start working on it locally, and it will start the server locally, and then start the script. That is all it is required. You don't need to do anything else. Just give me a moment. So you don't need to do anything else, like giving an API key or any other step. So this is a short video that I wanted to make. I'll be continuing this evaluation process. I will be also doing some more research on how to evaluate agents, and how to work with various data sets that has been uploaded in Hugging Face Hub by the Langchain guys under the data sets. So that is also something that I wanted to, because as we are starting to build multiple applications, it is not going to be simple anymore. There is going to be a lot of people involved, and a lot of changes that is going to be done on the code. How are you going to control it? So in order to control it, we need to have a proper framework. So the tracing is one of the important frameworks that you must understand, and you must start using more efficiently. So that is one of the point that I wanted to highlight. Again, as I was telling, remember that you should have a Docker environment. Your Postgres server, if it is running, stop the service so that your Langchain server can start running, and understand why you are evaluating. All these concepts are pretty important. I hope that you like this video. Do take this code out into your terminal and try to execute it, get the server running, and do practice with multiple agents and multiple tools, and see how you can interact with the tracing server UI and get more information. So I hope that you like this video. Do leave a like and share it with others. Most importantly, share it with others. Why I'm telling you that is, as I was explaining, the reason for having a tracing is that you will have a system for testing the agents and chains. Not only agents and chains, you will also be able to test LLMs also. So all these are very important steps that you need to take if you're going to production. So hope that you understood the seriousness of this, and do subscribe to my channel so that you will get further updates related to Langchain as well as to other Python libraries which work with artificial intelligence models, big data related topics, etc. With that said, I would like to leave it as usual with 4 words, that is practice, 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 practice. See you guys. Have a great time.